Can everyone see my screen okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and it's full screen?
Yep.
Good.
Where's that?
Well, actually, Sean, I can still see the names down the right-hand side. Does that matter?
Do you mean the participants in the meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, Sean, I'm ready to go whenever you want to start.
Great, thanks, Darlene. Okay, welcome everyone to this meeting. My name is Sean House. I'm a planner with the City of Brantford, and I'm here to present a city-initiated technical amendment to the zoning bylaw. This meeting is being streamed live on YouTube and will also be available for viewing afterwards. If you're viewing or have any comments or questions that aren't addressed, feel free to get in contact with me after the meeting. So to start off, I'll explain what a zoning bylaw is and then the purpose of this technical amendment in particular. So the zoning bylaw states how land may be used, where buildings and other structures can be located, the types of buildings that are permitted and how they may be used. It also regulates lot sizes and dimensions, parking requirements, building heights, things of that nature. And so what this technical amendment is through the ongoing monitoring and administration of zoning bylaw 11690. There's various aspects of the bylaw that we recognize need updated. So we'll update these zoning regulations and definitions also to ensure consistency with provincial policy. And it's a way for us to address changing trends within the development community as well. So the first aspect of this amendment are standard housekeeping items. So these are generally to correct typographical and mapping errors, updating terms to reflect provincial policy, clarifying definitions for ease of reference, and removing holding provisions where lands have already been consolidated. The next technical amendment that's being proposed is a definition for built form known as a stacked townhouse. That's what's being shown on the slide. We're now seeing more applications for this type of building, and including a definition in our zoning bylaw gives staff a starting point for evaluating these proposals. So the proposed definition is as follows. It shall mean a building or group of buildings on a lot or lots, each containing 6 or more dwelling units, wherein each dwelling unit is divided both vertically and horizontally from another dwelling, in which each unit has independent access from the outside at grade level. So moving on, the next amendment is to our regulations for mixed-use buildings. An example of this is shown on the slide. It's a building that contains a commercial or non-residential use on the ground floor with residential uses above. And to add clarity to the intent of mixed-use buildings, staff are seeking to clarify in the zoning bylaw that a parking lot or structure does not constitute a principal use in the C1 zone, and that the parking area shall not form part of the building facade. Now, the last aspect of this technical amendment relate to parking requirements for converted dwellings. So back in 2019, the province had introduced Bill 108, the More Homes, More Choice Act. This act was intended to encourage the development of additional dwelling units. And one component of this act was to permit tandem parking spaces for accessory dwelling units. And while this was addressed in our last technical amendment, it didn't capture 3 zones in the city where accessory dwelling units are not permitted. So these are the RC zone, the R2 zone, and the R3 zone. And accessory dwelling units weren't permitted there because they had already permitted converted dwellings, which was considered a similar use. And a converted dwelling is essentially a building constructed as a single dwelling unit that has been modified to contain additional dwelling units. So what this proposed amendment would do would allow the required parking spaces for converted dwelling units to be provided in a tandem parking form. And tandem parking is illustrated on the slide. It's essentially when you have 2 parking spaces with 1 car in front of the other. So just to conclude this presentation, the next steps for these amendments will be to report to the Committee of the Whole, which is scheduled for August 10th, 2021. And after that to City Council. So thank you, anyone who's viewing this presentation. If anyone does have any questions or comments, please feel free to contact me. Thank you. And Darlene, that should conclude everything. If we could conclude the YouTube stream.